When I started carving endangered alphabets, I was mainly thinking in terms of documenting and preserving these scripts before they were lost. My first two exhibitions then were all about faithfully copying pieces of text. Over the next few years, though, my carvings involved less and less text. A single phrase, then a single word, even a single character or letter. It wasn't so much that I was losing interest in the scripts and their plight, it was that a mass of text distracted from the individual letters. I wanted to zero in on what made each script remarkable and utterly different from our own, as part of the argument for saving them, admiring them, learning from them. I started to think of each letter as a small human graphic invention, a miniature masterpiece of design. What I carved began to look less like writing in a generic sense and more like art, even though in every instance it was still writing. What I had stripped away was the concatenation of symbols, the visible train of thought and perhaps logic. And what was left was more and more the work of the human hand, the human eye, the human mind in a different sense. I also began thinking of writing in terms of texture, color, and light. Some calligraphers, to add richness to their writing on a page of uniform texture and color, will load their pens or brushes with a mixture of inks or paints. I did the opposite. I started choosing woods whose grain brought a complexity and life on which the letters rode in simple black or gold or sometimes silver. In doing so, though I wasn't entirely conscious of the fact, I was also redefining writing, both to myself and to my viewer. I was moving the focus away from writing as a merely symbolic representation of the sounds of spoken language, yes, but I was also moving away from the sense in which I, as a writer, had always thought of writing, namely, this is how I express what I mean. I get my point across, I tell a story. I present an organized structure of thought to my reader like an intellectual Eiffel Tower, in the hope that its verbal engineering will both make an impression and stand the test of time. Instead, by dismantling that visual syntax and offering instead the curves and surprises of a single character, I was now exploring not just a specific script, but writing itself in a way I had never considered. It was the visual equivalent of being in a railway carriage in a foreign country whose language you don't understand, where you give up trying to recognize individual words or even the totality of what people are saying, and instead you start noticing the rhythms, the rise and fall of pitch, the unfamiliar gutturals, the clicks of the tongue. You go beyond language or languages, and you start hearing speech itself. And that's where I found myself, looking not at words or sentences, but at writing itself.